In this video, we're going to look at named entity recognition. Named entities is often the quickest way to get to know what a text is about. Named entities can be people, companies, locations. And so one format you'll often see these in is something called IOB format. I stands for inside chunk, O stands for outside chunk, and B stands for beginning of chunk. In this case, these chunks are named entities that can span multiple words. So for the example, I love New York City is an entity that spans multiple words. So in this case, I is outside, love is outside, new is the beginning of a named entity. So it has B, York is inside, city is inside, and then period is outside. So let's look at some named entity types in spaCy. So I pulled this from the old documentation on a Wayback Machine. They've got new documentation, but I haven't found where this is yet, and that documentation is still in progress. But here we have it from the old documentation. So we have person, NORP, which is nationality, related to political groups, facility, organization, geopolitical entity, language, etc. There are also some things that act like entities, like date, time, percent, money. So let's take a look at some of this. So here is that documentation I pointed you to on the Wayback Machine, October 25th, 2015, named entity recognition, and you see what we saw before. So we're going to define our parser as always. And then what we're going to do next is create a function that shows the entities one by one for token and parsed. We're going to print out the token orth, the way it's written, as well as the entity type. And then we're going to use something called parse.ents, which is just a list of the entities. If we make it such, we'll create it as a list. And then we can just loop through, print it out, and take a look at it that way. Let's do that. And so now here we have an example. I went to New York City and spoke French. So we look at the tokens one by one. I went to, we see for New York City, each of those three is listed as a geopolitical entity. French is listed as a language. And then at the bottom, we can just look at the entities themselves. Geopolitical entity, we have New York City, and language, we have French. We can do the same thing with this example. I paid $50 and $50 on March 12, 2016. And we see them listed out. In this case, it only got money as the 50 that had the dollar sign. It correctly identifies March as a date. Then here's an example where it gets it a little wrong. I spoke German at Mount Everest. It lists German as a NORP, a nationality, or religious or political group, instead of a language, but that's not too far off. And Mount Everest as a location, which is okay. Now I introduced to you the IOB format. Let's take a quick look at that. So we're going to print the token itself, the ent type, and ent IOB. So we have, I went to New Orleans to speak French. And we have I on the outside, went to the outside, two on the outside, new is the beginning, Orleans is inside, and then two again is outside. And we have that as New Orleans as geopolitical entity and French as a language. So as an exercise, take one of your emails or a paper you wrote and see what named entities spaCy can find.